up junta, building better Africa.
Muli bwanji ya Malawi konse kumene muli. Kwa lero ndangofuna kuti tibenthulirane pang'ono zimene zikuchitika kapena kuti nkhani imene ili mkamwa mu dziko lija la Mozambique. President wotsutsa boma amene amatchedwa kuti Venancio Mondlane wabwerera ndithu mu dziko la Mozambique kuchokera dziko lina m'maiko akunjawo ku Europe. Motero anayitanisa ndithu onse amene akumva naye kukoma, onse amene akufuna iyeyo atalamulira mdzikolo azakhale nawo pa airport kuti adzalankhulane, adzachezerane ziwiri zitatu asanakafike ku nyumba kwake. Tsono mkatikati mwa zimenezi amene ali olamulira achipani cha Frelimo anatumiza apolisi ndi kukathamangitsa anthu, koma anthube sanazilole. Nkhani yayikulu ndiyakuti Venancio Mondlane tsopano wazilumbilitsa yekha ndipo wazika yekha kuti iyeyo ndiye president olamulira mu dziko ilo la Mozambique. Abale ndi alongo, ndikupemphani kuti muonere video iyi ndipo mumveso news zimene zikulankhulidwa kuchokera m'maiko azungu kukamba za mbale ameneyi otchedwa Venancio Mondlane.
Well, the outgoing president of Mozambique, Filipe Nyusi, has invited the leaders of the parties that performed well during the October elections for a meeting today. Opposition leader Venancio Mondlane is meanwhile expected back in the country. Mondlane was a presidential candidate for the Podemos party. He has been in Europe mobilizing protests in Mozambique after he lost the election to Daniel Chapo from the Frelimo party. The country experienced violent protests from the opposition parties rejecting the election results. Mondlane's return to Mozambique coincides with preparations for the inauguration of Chapo as president. Well, our international editor, Sophie Mokoena, joins us on the line to discuss these political developments now. Sophie, good morning to you. I mean, Venancio Mondlane, any news? Has he arrived yet in Mozambique? As he said, he will be coming back today.
He is expected to arrive in Mozambique this morning at 8. It is not clear whether this will happen. As you know, with traveling, you can't be guaranteed. Also, we don't know the exact route in terms of him going back, whether it will be via South Africa or it is a direct flight to Mozambique, that is the capital city, Maputo. But we expect him to arrive today. I spoke to his people yesterday. He was supposed to speak to us, but we were told that he's preparing to leave Europe to fly back to Mozambique.
Also, this, of course, coming ahead of the inauguration, and this is where we sort of waiting to hear the next step forward. Any word from the government of Frelimo?
I got information that the outgoing President Filipe Nyusi, has called the three main parties, the leaders thereof, for a meeting this morning. So it's not clear whether the three main parties, the leaders of these three main parties, will avail themselves. And remember, Venancio Mondlane is not a leader of Podemos, much as he is a candidate. And what I have observed, and when I spoke to the spokesperson of Renamo and Podemos, now the official opposition, I get a sense that parties are becoming frustrated with Venancio Mondlane. I think that is why he has decided to go back, because the situation is bad in Mozambique in terms of the economic social condition of people after those protests, the demolition and the destruction of infrastructure, the supply chain movement of people and goods. And there's now fatigue. So I'm not so sure what is going to be the approach in relation to Philippe Nyusi. And this, as you pointed out, comes ahead of the inauguration of Daniel Chapo. And we know that organizations, NGOs, wrote a letter to President Ramaphosa asking him to intervene, much as he's not the chair of SADC. SADC had a meeting, Troika took a decision that something must be done in terms of protecting the economic activities in that corridor. We will try and speak to the president or doorstop the president during his engagement with people in the Western Cape ahead of January 8th statement on Saturday.
Very, very important issue with the situation in Mozambique. But there's another issue I want to touch on before I let you go. We're seeing a big developing story happening in Chad this morning. I mean, the latest news coming out there is that gunmen have attempted to storm the presidential complex in Chad's capital, sparking a battle that left 19 attackers and 18 attackers and one security personnel member dead. What's going on in Chad?
You know that Chad is part of that Sahel region, and that region has been very unstable. You know that there has been insurgents, and Boko Haram is operating between Chad and Nigeria, and therefore that region has been very unstable when you look at the security challenges. You also have those foreign military presence in some of these countries, and these countries have taken a decision to ask these foreign military officials and personnel to leave their country. The president of Chad announced that France must leave Chad. That was towards the parliamentary elections that we saw a few days ago, and all of a sudden there's now this attack. So it might be the insurgents taking advantage of that announcement, or they are now collaborating with those who don't want to see foreign forces, the French, leaving the country. You know that the president of France, Emmanuel Macron, recently was saying that African countries don't appreciate the role played by France. In other words, accusing African countries not appreciative enough of the role of France, and that offended many countries in that region who have decided that the French military must leave their countries such as Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger and Chad, including the countries such as Ivory Coast that was not expected. That has also announced that the foreign forces will leave the country, including Senegal announcing that a few days ago. So there's this push that all the foreign forces must leave the Western African region, particularly the Sahel region, and you have the issue of the insurgents. Maybe the insurgents are taking an advantage, or now those foreign forces themselves are collaborating with insurgents.
Yeah, all right. Keeping a very close eye on what's happening in Chad at the moment. Seems to be quite a serious situation unfolding. Sophie Mokoena, thanks so much for weighing in on that for us, and also what's happening in Mozambique.
Club Junta, building better Africa.